Hi, in this video I want to implement Interstitial Ad to an Android Studio project with 3 buttons. This is the project I already created. As you can see, I have 3 buttons in the main activity. If I click on the first one, it goes to activity 1. I click on second one, go to second activity, and if I click on the last one, it goes to activity 3. This is the project I created. As you can see, there are 3 buttons here. Button 1, button 2, button 3. In first activity, second and third one, I have no special code. Only in each activity XML file, I just wrote the activity name to recognize them easily. This is activity 2 and this is activity 3. But in the main activity Java, as you can see, I created a tag. I declared 3 buttons and I casted the buttons by ID. I created an on-click listener for each button, and when we click on each button, we go to the new activity by using the intent. So simple. So let's go and implement Interstitial Ad step by step. This is the instruction. First of all, we should reference the Google in project level of build Gradle file. So I go to build Gradle file, and yes, we have Google here in all project repositories. So we don't need to add it. Then I have to copy this implementation to the dependencies in app level of build Gradle file. So I copy this, go to the app level of build Gradle file, and I'm pasting it here and sync the project. Now I have to copy and paste this tag to Android manifest file, and I'm using this sample app ID. I copy this, click here, paste it, press enter. Then I copy this tag, go to the project, Android manifest, go to the application and paste it here at the bottom. Also, I'm adding user permission for the internet, and also I set the hardware accelerated to true to show the videos, full screen videos. Okay. Now I have to initialize the AdMob SDK. Here it's suggested to initialize the SDK into onCreate method. But recently I found it. If I initialize the SDK here, and when we use the back button and go to the, for example, main activity, this initialize will not call anymore. So to make sure every time we go back to the main activity and the SDK will initialize, I create another method. It's called onStart, like this. So if I initialize the SDK here, every time we go to the main activity by any method using, for example, this back key, or using this back array, this method will be called anyhow. So this is the safe place for initialize the SDK and load the advertise. It's much better than onCreate method, as my experience. So I paste this code here, and I'm using Alt and Enter to import the required classes like this. I go to interstitial instruction. I have to declare the advertise in the main activities class. So this is the main activity class. I make a new line and paste it here. Then I'm using Alt and Enter, and I'm using the first one, which is new one and not deprecated. Then I copy all these lines, go to the bottom, and I go to the on initialize complete to make sure the SDK is initialized successfully, and paste these lines here. Again, I'm using Alt and Enter. And here, to pass the context, I'm using MainActivity.this, like this. Then I have to set the callback. The best place to set the callback is here, into onloaded method. So I'm coming into onloaded method and paste the codes here. I'm using Alt and Enter again. Good, perfect. Okay. To show the advertise, we're using interstitial ad.show, and we need this condition to make sure the ad is loaded. So I copy this line. I go to on-click listener for each button here, paste it here, and instead of my activity, I'm using main activity. Like this. But here, before showing the advertise, if the ad is loaded successfully, we should save the ID of the button we clicked. So to do that, I'm just coming here and writing save ID. This is the method I will create, and I pass the button ID, button1 dot get ID, like this. Then to create this method, I'm coming here, use Alt and Enter, and I'm creating this method into main activity class, like this. Perfect. To save the ID, I'm using share preferences. Share preference, I'm calling it preferences. Get share preferences, I need a name, saving for example, and the mode gonna be private. Like this, I'm gonna save the ID. We also need a method to load the ID. To load the ID, I will create another method. It should be integer load ID, like this. So I'm using the same share preferences, like this, and I gotta return the preferences dot get integer. Label should be exactly this, so I copy this and paste it here, and I set the default value to the 0. Good. So here when we click on each button, if the advertise is loaded, we should save the ID. Like this, and then show the advertise. Let me copy and paste this one for second button. After showing the advertise and the user is closing the full screen ad, this method will be called on add dismissed full screen content. So here we should load the ID of the button and opening the correct activity. For the beginning, I need another intent, so I declare an intent. Then I'm using switch, and here I'm loading the ID which we already saved. If case is RID.button1, then intent gonna be new intent from MainActivity.this to activity1.class, and here break. This is gonna be the first case. The second case gonna be the ID of button 2, and we're gonna open activity 2. And the third case gonna be ID of button 3, and then we're gonna open activity 3. And we also need the default and return. Then I'm coming out of the switch and start the activity and pass the intent here. Okay, now let's run the app and see what we get. Okay, this is the app, and it's, as you can see, is loaded and advertised. So I click on activity 1. As you can see, the ad is coming here. I dismiss the ad or close the advertise. It goes to activity 1. So I go back. It should load another one. As you can see, it's loaded another advertise. This time I click on activity 3. Show the ad again. I close. I go back. Load another one. Activity 2. I close. Activity 2. Go back. Loaded another one. And as you can see, there is no difference between using the back key or this array to go back to the main activity. Anyhow, it's loading a new advertise. It's loaded another one. This is what I wanted to show you, because I received many questions about how to show an interstitial ad when we have different buttons, or we have different items in a recycler view. So that doesn't matter, you have different buttons or different item in a recycler view or from a list view or whatever. You can simply save the ID or position, and after closing the advertise, go to on add dismiss full screen content and load the ID or position or whatever here, and run the required code or proceed with your plan or application. I hope this video will help you and give you an idea. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more video. Thank you. Goodbye.